Number 10. Virtual reality clones. Data is constantly being compiled on all of us. Every app you use or website you go to is keeping info on you. That means Uber knows where you like to go, Netflix knows what you like to watch, and Google knows all the weird porn you search, you sick freaks. So what could happen is all this data compiled on you could be saved and transferred into a program that would make a virtual version of you that's very similar to yourself. It could walk like you, talk like you, and even watch the same weird porn as you, you sick freak. This kind of scares me, but I think it's something people would want. Why would you mourn someone when you can build a virtual clone of them in a virtual space? You would never need to miss anybody. This also means that some companies would have the ability to recreate any person they want. They would know everything about that person and have a virtual clone of them. Everyone who works at this company would know that you're a sick freak. Number 9. Self-driving cars. If you work as a taxi or bus driver, I think it's maybe time to update your resume because this one seems right around the corner. We've already seen the initial steps of self-driving cars with companies like Tesla. As demand increases for these products, it's only a matter of time before technology becomes more affordable, and every company on the planet is making some version of a self-driving car, or as I like to call them, nat pods. I understand how this can be scary because some car company is going to know where you're going. They will be tracking you constantly. Also, these self-driving cars would have cameras on them, all over them. That means there's literally billions of cameras all over the world just watching people. Who's controlling that footage? And what if someone hacks your car and kills you for poops and giggles? But on the other hand, I really want a car that lets me eat pasta and fall asleep while I'm on my way to where I need to go. I guess you gotta crack a few eggs to make an omelet. Number 8. Robots. You know what's crazy about this one? It's like we know that the robots are coming to kill us, but we keep making them. You know, we can just stop making them. We already have Netflix and Uber Eats. Guys, we won. We don't need to make any more innovations. Well, I don't really know how much I need to say about this one, other than if I get the opportunity to sell out the human race and become a pet to one of our machine overlords, I'm taking that opportunity in a heartbeat. We already have robots now, but they're advancing more and more every day and becoming more powerful and getting better and better artificial intelligence. Some people speculate that we'll be able to create robots that have artificial intelligence as sophisticated as a human's by 2025. And all the big dogs are in on this. In 2014, Google purchased artificial intelligence company Deep Blue and has been working on AI that can teach itself to play video games and make art. So who wants to hit up Disneyland before we're all on fire? Number 7. Worldwide Wi-Fi. It's definitely coming. Having blazing fast internet anywhere with you. It doesn't matter if you're at home, you're underground, in the office, out with friends. It will always be with you. God, I sound like a deodorant commercial. I mean, it sounds great. We would never need to worry about download speeds, and we could turn binge watching TV shows into a national sport. But if this happens, we're gonna become so reliant on it that we will base our infrastructure all around this constant internet concept. So what happens if it goes down? What would people do if one day everything went from high speed to not a single drop of internet? I mean, the internet well became so dry that you couldn't even download Pong on your cheese grater Mac Pro. It would be utter chaos, the starting of the apocalypse. Everyone would be running around the streets like chickens with their heads cut off. You guys better start stockpiling your beans and Blu-rays now, just in case this pops off. Number 6. Subdermal identification chips. So what if everything you ever did was recorded on a little device? Every time you pooped, all the times you said you were gonna start getting in shape but you just sat on the toilet pooping, or when you told your friends you were late because of traffic but it was because you had a last minute massive poop that threw your schedule off. Well, a lot of people think that these future devices aren't that far away. They should have a lot of positive uses. If you have all your information in one place, it would make it super easy to see a doctor. Or you could be connected to your bank account and it would streamline paying for everything in your life. But think of how easy it would be to steal someone's identity. You could just knock them out, take the chip out, and then leave them in a ditch somewhere, next thing you know, there's a much less handsome Che Dorena walking around making everyone think I'm less handsome. Number 5. Exoskeletons. You've probably seen these ones in movies like Elysium or The Matrix Reloaded, where people walk around in super cool exoskeletons being all strong and junk. Well, various militaries around the world have been working on this kind of tech, so it's not that far into the future before we're gonna start seeing these things implemented in our daily lives. You won't need to worry about throwing your back out working your warehouse job because you're going to be wearing some crazy robo suit that helps you lift 10,000 pounds. The scary thing about this is that one day some dude who dropped out of high school who's working in a warehouse is going to have access to tech that almost makes him a superhero. There's going to be endless videos of Kyles hopped up on too much Monster Energy smashing stuff on their smoke breaks. Number 4. Super Kids. No, this one isn't a cheesy spin-off of the Super Friends show, but in the future we'll probably see a generation of super kids. If you decide to have a baby, instead of hoping that it bakes right, you'll be able to pay someone to put all the pieces exactly where you want them. You'll be able to genetically modify your kid in the womb. Give it all the upgrades you want. We're gonna have babies that look like they can bend metal over their abs before they even do their first chin-up. I don't know if I'm ever gonna have kids, but if I do, I'm definitely gonna give them whatever gene lets them dunk. Number 3. 3D printers. Some of you are probably out there like, but Che, we already have 3D printers. Those aren't from the future, those are from right now. Well, I'm talking about 3D printers from the future. Right now the tech is very crude. You can only make so much. But in the future, we might be able to print all sorts of stuff. From full functioning PlayStations to, I don't know, a human heart? Yeah, some people think that we'll be able to print organs in the future. We could print entire people. Then all of you plebs out there finally don't have an excuse for not being able to get a girlfriend. You can just make one. Number 2. Free thinking artificial intelligence. So we already have small forms of AI, things that can perform some sort of boring repetitive task like identifying patterns or organizing data. But what about when all this stuff starts thinking on its own? Now everyone thinks it's going to kill us. It'll probably be like Skynet but way less sexy than 80s Arnold. But in reality, we have no idea what a free thinking AI would want. It has no need to eat or reproduce, it has no sex drive, none of the driving factors that make humans do any of the things we do. So it's really our ego showing when we try to predict an AI's motivation. This thing would literally be a god and its desires would be far beyond our understanding. So I'm just hoping he's cool and he wants to chill and hang out and stuff. Number 1. The transcendence. So if number 2 happens, there might be an opportunity for all of us to partake in the transcendence, where we leave our bodies and meld our consciousness with an all-powerful AI. All our minds connected in one giant hive. All of our thoughts would be shared with billions and everyone would be part of one being. That would mean all your weird perverted thoughts would be open to everyone like a library, you sick freaks. Is this something you guys think you would want to be a part of?
Coming in at number 10, say goodbye to banks and hello to paying with your eyeballs. Money is going to be obsolete sometime in the near future. By that I mean physical paper and coins. It costs money to make money and circulate it, and soon we'll all just be paying with tap. And then, after that, cards will eventually go obsolete themselves and we'll be paying with our phones. I use my phone to pay with my BTZ all of the time in local stores and it is just so handy. It's just like a simple barcode, and I can also really easily send money using the app too. One day the need for banks will basically be eradicated, especially with cryptocurrencies and blockchain. Then, one day even further in the future, when we're all connected to the internet and wearing our smart Google contact lenses, that day we will likely just pay using the blink of our eyes. Ooh. Money for you, money for you, money for you, money for you. Coming in at number 9, hello Mars and hello aliens. Mars, I am so pro Mars. I mean, I'm also very pro space in general, but I love our neighbor. Sadly, we lost our Mars rover opportunity this year, but in 2020, we have a new rover set to be launched. This is touching down in the Jezero crater in February 2021. Beyond that, the Mars 1 mission is planning a manned mission to Mars as soon as possible, which would be absolutely history-making in itself. That being said, imagine what we will find. Could we find aliens? Well, probably not in the way that we think, but one day I am confident that we will find signs of life somewhere in the observable universe, or it will find us, which brings us back to scary. Ooh. Coming in at number 8, we have chemical terrorism. While using chemicals in warfare has been done in the past, for example mustard gas in World War I and II, it is now considered to be a human rights violation and it's not accepted by the UN. It is unlikely that we'll see a Third World War being fought with chemicals in traditional warfare, but sadly it is likely that there will be a terror attack with a devastating turn in the future if the wrong people learn how to manipulate certain chemical equations. The deadliest substance in the world right now is thought to be a form of Botox, but its exact makeup is only known by a few people for this very reason. Chemical terrorism has already taken place. In 1995, the Aum Shinrikyo doomsday cult attacked Tokyo's subway system with sarin. 13 people died and thousands were injured. Now the fear is that an event like this could happen on a much wider scale and be much more devastating in the future. Coming into number 7, we're going to be able to talk to the dead. Ray Kurzweil is the director of engineering at Google. Ray Kurzweil also believes that we can bring back the dead. Sort of. Do you remember that episode of Black Mirror? It's called Be Right Back. It's where Hayley Atwell brings back her boyfriend from the dead via social media analysis. Basically, it analyzes his accounts and somehow replicates his personality. Something like that. It's also kind of like the dad drama in Westworld if you watch that. The Google employee has been gathering documents, letters, photos, videos of his late father en masse. He thinks that one day he will be able to recreate his dad. He said, "I'll be able to talk to this recreation. Ultimately, it will be so realistic, it will be like talking to my father." But this actually kind of breaks my heart because it won't be though. Like, what do you think about this? I'm honestly really not sure it's going to be helpful to chase ghosts for the rest of your life. Like, if my boyfriend died, I could bring him back and of course I would, but where would it end? He'd be like actually dead and I'd never move on. I'd never find someone else or have kids because I'd be cavorting with a ghost. Same if my mum died, of course I'd bring her back in this way, but would it be the same? Like, I don't think so. How could I spend any real time with her? In my opinion, it just isn't the same, but I'd love to hear what you think. Coming into number 6, we have advertisement being the new normal. Some people are going to feel pretty uncomfortable about this. We're already living in a heavily advertised world and this will only increase. Right now, we use Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and things like that for free, the trade-off being that we have to watch advertisements. I mean, it pays my wages. This will only increase the further we advance in the future. Bringing things back to my mates at Buns, their new advertisement platform allows me to make money if I watch ads. Now this is great for advertisers, but also great for me because I get to make some money that I can actually spend. While I totally trust Buns, I have to say that the future of advertisement may be pretty intense, especially in like 100 or so years. We may no longer even realize we're being advertised to. It will just be part of our everyday existence. Coming into number 5, we have population 10 billion. It took over 200,000 years of human history for the world's population to reach 1 billion, and then only 200 years more to reach 7 billion. In my lifetime alone, the population of the world has boomed by over 2 billion. There are 135 million babies born every year, but just 56 million deaths. While the birth rate has slowed since its height in the 50s and 80s, there are still more people being born than the number of people who die. We are expected to hit population 10 billion in 2060, so actually most people watching this video are likely to be around in the next 40 years and be a part of population 10 billion. Will it be something to celebrate though? I'm not sure. With more people in the world, illnesses will spread more quickly, more resources will be needed to be used to sustain us. Sustainability will become a very key focus for our survival. We simply won't be able to handle mass meat and dairy farming in the way that we do right now. We're gonna have to look at better eco options. So carnivores, maybe you should be scared. Similarly, we won't be able to live the consumerist lifestyles that we do right now. Mass-produced goods and clothes. I mean, it's gonna actually get pretty bad for the environment. This is why our mates at Buns are once again a great option. I totally understand the need for a new outfit. I feel it all of the time, but it isn't actually in the interest of sustainability to always buy new threads. I've got some really great outfits from swapping on buns. Ooh, I am not happy about this event, and a lot of people won't be. We have the eruption of the Yellowstone volcano. The Yellowstone volcano will very much erupt one day, and we don't really want to be around when it happens. It is inevitable. When it will erupt, we don't really know. How much damage it will cause, well, speculatively, a heck of a lot, but hopefully we will be able to respond to minimize the chaos with enough advance warning. Yellowstone saw large eruptions 640,000 years ago, 1.3 million years ago, and 2.1 million years ago. So, if you're into some quick math, it would seem that actually we're kind of in the date range for an eruption sometime soon. If that does happen, aside from the 1,000-degree flowing lava, the ash could drop fallout over a 500-mile/800-kilometer radius from the epicenter. Also, the jet stream could carry some of that ash as far away as Europe. Other than the immediate horrifying loss of millions of lives, there'll be airport closures, breathing issues, sulfur dioxide in the air causing a 10-year-long winter, crop failure. It basically wouldn't be a pretty picture. So we have that to look forward to one day, and if not us, then maybe our great-great-grandkids. Coming into number 3, we have the opening of Jurassic Park, but like, for reals. We are legit just a few decades away from opening up a real Jurassic Park, although we likely won't start with dinosaurs straight away, but with woolly mammoths. In 2010, a 39,000-year-old carcass of a woolly mammoth was found in Siberia in Russia. Scientists called the young female Yuka, and she was the best preserved mammoth in the history of paleontology, which is super exciting. Researchers even found blood in her veins and are working on isolating her DNA so they can clone her. The permafrost is melting and revealing hidden secrets from the past. One massive icy cap that is melting is Antarctica. Far-fetched, perhaps, but say we find a preserved dinosaur with blood still in its veins. We could then, in theory, bring that back too. Although, should we? If I've learned anything from Mr. Spielberg, the answer is no. Okay, next up, everything we do will be recorded. Coming into number 2, we have spy dust. Smart dust was invented by Christopher Pista of the University of California. The concept was thought up in the 90s, and now we have the actual technology to make it happen. Smart dust is actually spy dust. The tiny motes are the smallest possible devices that can electronically communicate with one another. They've got transceivers, they're filled with sensors and little tiny creepy lasers. They can store data and wirelessly communicate with the cloud. That damn cloud. They're basically perfect little spies, you can barely see them. In 1999, the motes were 5mm long. Now, 20 years later, they're even smaller, you can barely spot them with the naked eye. Eventually, the plan is for them to be small enough to remain suspended in air, buoyed by currents. They can sense communication for hours, and once again, what are they reporting back to the cloud? Spy dust was actually a term first coined in reference to a KGB agent used in the Cold War by Soviet Russia. Agents in Moscow tracked Americans by applying a very nearly invisible powder to their clothes, possessions, cars, so they could track their movements. What will happen if the Russians get their hands on the smart dust? Who knows? Alright, finally coming into number 1, this actually really scares and creeps me out. We have robot lovers. It's gonna happen. Forget VR sex, humans will start taking robot lovers. They already exist. Matt McMullen, the CEO of Realbotics and RealDoll, has created a robot lover called Harmony. A lot of people are worried about the robot sex revolution, and actually I kinda get it. They think that it will mean that people will stop being intimate with one another, and that they'll have further unrealistic expectations in the same way that they have when they watch adult movies, or so some people argue. Is it cheating if your partner does it with a robot? There are a lot of questions. I think a lot of people are gonna feel pretty uncomfortable about it. Beyond lovers, it seems like humans could have robot partners if they wanted to, kind of like the hologram girlfriend in Blade Runner, but physical and animatronic. Ooh, animatronic lovers. I just feel a bit weird about it, to be honest. Let me know what you think.
Space elevators. Some scientists think that the future of getting into space might not be by using traditional rockets and tons of fuel, but by simply taking an elevator up there. This would involve a machine crawling up a huge and almost almost unimaginably strong cable until it was no longer under the influence of Earth's gravity. For many, it's pure science fiction, but for others, such as the Liftport group, developing the space elevator is actually their day job. They believe recent advances in materials such as nanotubes mean it will one day be possible to build a structure that's strong enough, flexible enough, and light enough to allow machines to crawl out beyond the atmosphere and carry everything for cheap, from cargo to tourists, without a single rocket in sight. Okay guys, it might sound a little bit out there, but hey, they used to say that landing on the moon sounds crazy, and as my grandma says, anything's possible, dear. But for now, we're moving on to number 9, and let's talk about weather control. Ever since the first prayer or rain dance, humans have been trying to control the weather to suit our needs. California has been using techniques such as cloud seeding to stimulate clouds with particles to try and make it rain for more than 50 years. In 2008, the Chinese government fired 1,100 rockets into the sky to release chemicals that would stop clouds from raining on the opening ceremony for the Beijing Olympics. This has led many individuals, groups, and countries around the world to conduct their own research in the belief that humans will one day be able to master the science of weather modification. The benefits of this would range from little things like stopping a rainy day from ruining an event, to being able to prevent hurricanes and storms before they even start at all. Personally, I think someone's already been tinkering with the weather in England, because come on, it can't rain that much. Just stop, come on. At number 8, linguists predict that by the year 2115, many languages being spoken right this second will be completely dead. Today, there are over 7,000 different languages, but 100 years from now, 90% of these will be gone. As society becomes more globalized and interconnected, dominant languages will appear where once there were many different tongues. These are likely to be English, Spanish, and Chinese Mandarin. Other languages such as Arabic and Hindi and even French are expected to see a surge in native speakers thanks to a booming population growth in the countries where they are spoken. Well, as for English, it won't be the #1 most spoken language in the world, but it will continue to grow as non-native speakers use it as a common tongue to communicate with each other. I'm pretty happy to hear that, as I don't know any Chinese and I've forgotten most of my high school French. C'est très terrible. At number 7 now, it's being predicted that the future will see mass extinctions of animals like nothing we've seen before. A scientific study suggested that the Earth is losing 11,000 to 58,000 species to extinction every single year, and points the finger of blame at human pollution, deforestation, and expanding habitats. Some even go so far as to say that we may be entering a new mass extinction to rival the devastating ones of the past. It's thought that if the current trend continues, we could see extinctions at the same rate as the one that killed the dinosaurs in just 250 years from now. And that one was caused by a massive asteroid that was 300 miles across. So yeah, humans can be pretty scary. On to number 6. Technology experts predict that the future will see internet connection for every human alive. Right now there's 7.4 billion people on the planet, but only 3.3 billion of those, including you watching this, have any sort of access to the internet. It won't stay this way forever though. Companies such as Facebook, Google, and SpaceX have been launching their own initiatives to connect everyone online for the first time in history. It's predicted that by the year 2025, all 8 billion people on planet Earth will have access to the internet. So if you're watching this from the year 2025, I hope I got some of these right. Halfway through now guys, at number 5, it's predicted by some people that driverless cars will hit the market as soon as 2020. 5 years later, in 2025, the driverless car will be commonly used around the world, and 5 years after that, in 2030, the average American adult will spend 40% of their time in driverless cars. It's thought that a driverless car will become such a part of society that governments might even require it as a safety feature. If your car doesn't have an automated system, it will be seen as, at best, old-fashioned, and at worst, a danger to you and other road users. If you guys aren't adults already, then you probably will be by 2030, so it could be you guys watching this right now that will be driving driverless cars. Or not driving. Can you call it driving? I don't know. When you guys get one, let me know. At number 4, human life expectancy has been growing for well over 100 years now, and it's not expected to slow down in the future. For every year that passes from now on, the average American is expected to live 3 months longer. By 2050, the average person will be expected to live to 88 years old, and by 2100, some people predict that that might even reach 100 years old. Advancements in medicine, sanitation, diet, and education are just some of the factors that lead people to foresee a future where the old just keep getting older. I don't know guys, I'm not sure how I feel about this. Do you think that's kind of awesome that everyone's going to be living for so long, or is there something a little bit unnatural about it? Let me know in the comments below. On to number 3, and it's been predicted that by the year 2100, humans won't be getting their energy the same way we do today. The vast majority of our energy will be obtained from renewable sources such as wind or solar. The old fossil fuels that we burn to power our society in modern times will be replaced with cleaner and cheaper sources. Who knew that insanely large burning ball of energy in the sky could be used to get all of our energy? I did not see that one coming. At number 2, nanotechnology is the future. It's the manipulation of matter on the nanoscale, which is about 1 to 100 nanometers. It's been the stuff of science fiction for a while now, but researchers are confident that it will be an integral part of our society in the near future. Nanorobots could be injected into the bloodstream of sick people to instantly cure any diseases, and some claim that once the technology is perfected, every virus or disease, including cancer, will be easily cured. These tiny nanites are predicted to be used in every part of our lives, such as microscopic cameras for security. So aside from all that amazing stuff such as curing cancer, nanobots can also be put into your food to literally change it into whatever else you want. It sounds like a bright future for fussy eaters. Alright guys, coming in now at number 1, the National Intelligence Council is a US government agency whose job it is to peer into the future and try and spot global trends before they happen. One of their biggest predictions at the moment is humans entering what is being called the transhuman era. As we begin to use more prosthetics, implants and technology in our bodies, the NIC predicts that humans can and will become bionic in a very real sense of the word. New machine limbs will perform better than the ones people are born with, blurring the lines between humans and machines. Brain implants will allow the brain to perform much faster, and super strong exoskeletons will become commonplace in soldiers. The transhuman era will bring humans and technology together in a way that will make them look like superheroes to us, and it's predicted that this will start happening as early as 2030. Personally, I can't lie, I love the idea of being able to access any information instantly with my mind, or being like super strong or super fast. But at the same time guys, would that mean we're losing a part of what makes us truly human? It could be a scary future, it could be a fascinating future, and it could be anything in between. It's anybody's guess. So let me know your predictions in the comments below guys about what you think the future has in hold for us, because that's all we got time for in this episode of Most Amazing Top 10.